Texas at Michigan, the game of the week. Let's talk about it and give a prediction at the end. This is going to be a street fight of the game. Michigan's defensive line is probably the best in the country. Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, pair of defensive tackles for the Wolverines. They're unreal when it comes to stopping the run. Last game versus Fresno State had 22 attempts and just 9 yards. If you want to take out the negative quarterback runs, they had 39 rushing yards, which is still less than 2 yards a carry. Elite stuff. And to pair that with the best defensive player in the country in Will Johnson, that's what makes this Michigan defense the anchor of this team and the reason why they're going to be competitive in every single game they play this year. Now let's go ahead and talk about some major concerns that I have for this offense. There was an unsuspecting quarterback battle, to me at least, over the offseason between Alex Orji and senior Davis Warren, and to surprising to most, Davis Warren won the job, but he did not look very impressive versus Fresno State. 15 of 25, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Michigan's offense looked pretty sloppy. There were a lot of communications issues, but that's because they have an entire new system there that I'll talk about in just a minute. But to me, this Michigan team, if they want to win, they're going to have to rely on the running game. Very similar to the Penn State game where they ran the ball like 20 plus times in a row. I think J.J. McCarthy, a first-round draft pick, only passed the ball 8 times in that game versus Penn State. And to me, that is exactly what Michigan is planning to do here versus Texas. They lose their pair of elite defensive tackles from last season, specifically Trevonde Sweat. I definitely think Texas is lacking when it comes to defending the run. They just had a 100-yard rusher versus Colorado State. But let's talk about Texas. They cannot make mistakes in this Michigan game. For starters, they had an amazing opening game versus Colorado State. Specifically on the offensive side of the football, they won 52-0, and they were firing on all cylinders, which I think is the most important part going into game 2 on the road versus a top 10 team like Michigan. You've got to go ahead and start the game off hot. They finished versus Colorado State, and that's exactly why I think they're going to be able to get started early versus Michigan. This is ultimately going to be a chess match between Steve Sarkisian, the head coach and play caller for Texas, and Michigan's defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, who just came in this year. I think that's probably the most interesting matchup for college football for the entire week. I'm very interested to see how Quinn Ewers can get the ball into his playmakers' hands very quickly. I don't think holding on to the ball and trying to make a play down the field is the way to beat Michigan this year. It's not about pounding the rock. It's about getting the ball outside and in space and letting your 4 or 5-star wide receivers go to work. And that's exactly what I think Steve Sarkisian is going to try to do versus Michigan tomorrow on Saturday. But ultimately, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is that Texas has been here before. They just had a game just like this last season versus Alabama. And when I say been in this moment, I mean top 10 non-conference road game. Can you go into a hostile environment and win the game? And Quinn Ewers did exactly that last year, beat a playoff team in Alabama who Michigan struggled with more than Texas did last year, I want to point out. But all that being said, Texas handled business last year, and I think that they're capable of handling business this year, although Michigan's defense is far and away better than Alabama's last season. I do think that experience in Bryant-Denny Stadium last year helped Quinn Ewers over that hump and get Texas to the playoffs, which is exactly what they're hoping for this season. So let's get into our prediction. To me, it comes down to a quarterback difference. The fact that Davis Warren had a quarterback battle and I guess edged out the win, it does not give me confidence that in his first game went 15 of 25 for 118 yards and now has to play a Texas team who shut down a Colorado State quarterback and receiver duo that teams all around the country were offering thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to transfer out of there. the fact that he could not or the fact that he's probably not going to outduel that duo, Davis Warren, that rings alarm bells. That's red flag after red flag to me. So, with that being said, I have Texas winning this game 27-17. I think this game will be pretty close early on, but as the game goes on, Quinn Ewers is going to get in his groove like he was versus Colorado State, and the Texas Longhorns are going to take this game by force in the third quarter. And by the fourth quarter, although the score will only be within 10 points, pretty much everyone will know that Texas has won this game and has taken the victory themselves. I think that's my final score prediction. I'm not terribly confident about that. It's not in my Plaisant picks, but Texas will win this game, I think 27-17. That's going to do it for this episode. Make sure you tune in next time. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you then.